What's up, YouTube? My name is Jasmine. Um, Welcome to the first of hopefully many vlogs of my journey. It's been a really tough year. 2025 has almost taken me out the game. I'm not even gonna hold you. I was so depressed. Um, but let me just recap. So September of 2024, I got a job that I had been fighting 20 years to get as a 911 operator. I love police work. My father retired as a police captain. My stepfather retired as a homicide detective. And I just kind of always wanted that life for myself. So I got the job as a 911 operator, and training was a year long. I loved every second of that job. When I tell you I loved it, I loved it for multiple reasons that I won't get into right now. But in March of 2025, so just a few months later, my oldest child, who at the time was 26 years old, was brutally attacked in a domestic violence incident with her boyfriend. He stabbed her over 10 to 12 times. She lost a lot of blood, and I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning that my daughter was clinging to life. So she lived 2 hours away. So my husband and we hopped in the car. We drove the 2 hours there. I was a mess the whole way, having panic attacks, crying, just a mess. Like the last thing any parent wants to hear is that their child is in the hospital fighting for their life. We finally get to the hospital. She's on a ventilator. She's not awake. Of course, she's drugged up. She's got stab wounds everywhere, even one on her nose. Like it's like he even tried to cut half of her nose off. It's like, who does this? In any case, of course, I had to take a lot of time off work while I was in training, but the police department was very, very understanding. Of course, we as a 911 operator, we see all kinds of tragedies, and when it happens to one of our own, um, you know, I can't say R anymore, but we'll get to that. But when it happened to one of our own, the police tend to really, really have your back. Like I said, I love police work. I do. I love helping people. I love putting clues together. Like I fought 20 years for this job, y'all. And because of everything that happened to my child, I ended up losing the job. I resigned, but she was in the hospital in Columbus, and I'm gonna call this hospital out because they don't. Mount Carmel East in Columbus. My child was in that hospital for a month. Okay, she went in with 10 to 12 stab wounds. She did lose a lot of blood. On the way to the hospital, her heart stopped. And guess what? They didn't even find out that her heart had stopped until she got to the ER. So I don't know what those paramedics were doing in that vehicle, but they weren't doing CPR. She gets to the hospital. They had to do 12 minutes, guys, 12 minutes of CPR to bring my child back, and she came back. She came back. She got a blood transfusion. They stitched up her wounds. They did exploratory surgery and found that none of the 10 to 12 stab wounds punctured any vital organs, vessels, or any of that. So it was all just, she was going to be okay. And I couldn't tell you how much of a miracle that was, because she was literally stabbed like 6 to 7 times in her chest, right in the center of her chest, under her breast, in her breast, like everywhere in her chest. She even had a stab wound in the back of her head and in her shoulder, in her back. So the fact that, oh, in the back of her neck, right by her spine. So the fact that she's not paralyzed, she's not dead, and she was going to make it was a complete miracle. A couple of days after being in the hospital, she gets taken off a ventilator. She's able to talk. First thing she tells me, I just woke up and he was slicing me up. He wouldn't talk to me. You know, any case. So very tragic, very traumatic for me and my family. And a couple of days into her, I would say about 5 days into her stay at Mount Carmel East, she started having these uncontrollable like body movements, and she started having like confusion and saying that her vision was changing. And I told the doctors about this, and they kind of laughed it off. If I'm being honest with you, they laughed it off. Like, oh, she's seeing color. Every white people look sepia. Ha 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 ha. Because that's what she was saying. She was like, all white people they look sepia to me. Like, what's going on with my eyes? Sepia, if you don't know, like, there's them old black and white photos, but they're not quite black and white. They kind of have like a reddish hue to them, or brownish reddish hue. That's what she was saying that the white people look like. And they laughed. They didn't say, well, let me think. What's going on with her vision? So then all of a sudden she started not even being able to hold herself up. She's flailing her arms and legs around, So I get a hold of her my chart. I'm looking at her my chart. I am her power of attorney, by the way. So I look at her my chart, and I'm seeing that they were falsifying her records and saying that she was on fentanyl. They said that she had schizophrenia. She never had been diagnosed with that. And as a matter of fact, this hospital that she went to, she didn't even go to this hospital. Like, she hated this hospital because they have a bad reputation in the city of Columbus, Ohio, for unaliving people or for causing people more harm than what they came in with. So she hated that hospital, but it was the closest one to her house. So that's where they took her. They did bring my baby back to life, but the things that happened after all of that was just horrendous. I slept next to my child every single day for a week. I watched what they were doing. They were giving my baby more than like 40 different kind of medications, multiple pain medications in a day. And I'm like, if you guys are seeing that she's having all of these problems, why do you keep giving her these medications? Because one of the doctors actually told me they think it's a bad reaction to one of the medications, but they just kept giving them to her. So then when I started questioning it, and she wasn't in her right mind to even talk about anything, excuse me, they were getting frustrated with me. And I'm like, well, I don't think something wrong is happening, because she was just fine. Like, the whole week she was getting ready to go home. And then all of a sudden, a day before she gets ready to go home, now she's having all of these problems out of the blue. Anyway, long story short, I was recording video to show her dad, because her dad was 2 hours away that day. He had been to the hospital previously, but I was recording video so her dad can see, like, look at what's happening to our child. In any case, so I had been recording video like the whole time that I was there. I sent the video to her dad. A lot of times that I was recording, most people would just like not want to be in the video, but they never said it was a problem. So, I was recording video. I sent it to her dad. And then, the nurse comes in, and I have all this on video. I have audio recordings too. But in any case, the nurse comes in, tries to give her more medication. I was like, we just talked about this particular medication. It was called Dilaudid, right? It could cause respiratory distress and a couple of other things that could complicate her already pre-existing condition. So I simply asked them, is there a better medication that they can give her? Because they were already giving her fentanyl, they were giving her propofol, they were giving her Dilaudid, they were giving her oxycodone. Now, like, they were giving her literally every medication that the pharmacy had, like, just throw it all at her. And then she had all these complications, and nobody was trying to find out why. I told them about the vision changes, and like I said, they laughed it off. They act like it, was funny, instead of doing their due diligence to find out, why is she having vision problems? They waited a day or almost 2 days before they actually took her down for a CAT scan. They found out that she had microbleeds in her brain, but they don't know what it came from, because it didn't come, again, from any of the stab wounds. So why is her brain bleeding, right? In any case, long story short, they didn't like that I was recording video. They said, you can't record video, okay? This one nurse, and this was after I had questioned the medication the first time. She was like, I don't think you can record in here. Let me go ask. So she go ask her boss. Her boss said you can't record. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll stop recording video. Instead, I started recording audio. 2 hours later, that same nurse comes back and starts to give her the same medications that we had just talked about not giving her. So she goes out the room after I said, like, we can't keep giving her this medication. I looked it up. It causes certain complications that are matching with the complications she's having at the moment. Anyways, she goes supposedly to find out if there was another option for the medication. I step outside the room and she's talking to three security guards. Mind you, I have been nothing but a worried mom the entire week. I was not confrontational, I was not rude, I was not in their way, I was not problematic in any sort, right? um, until my daughter started having these uncontrollable body movements, and obviously her condition was declining, where before it was getting better and she was ready to go home. All of a sudden she just started declining, and at that point I was scared, so the only problem you could ever say that I was I was just scared for my child and trying to figure out what happened. So I was questioning the doctors, asking the doctors this, that, and the third, and they were rude. Okay, Miranda Rector, okay, I'm gonna call you out particularly. She comes in the room while my daughter's having these uncontrollable body movements, saying, "Malia, stop it. You can stop. You can control yourself." I said, "No, she can't, and don't talk to her like that." She's obviously going through a lot. So anyway, back to what I was saying. The nurse who was supposed to be seeing if there was another medication, I step out the room and she's outside talking to three security guards. They approach me and say, "You need to give us your phone." And I said, "Give you my phone for what?" They said, "You're not allowed to record video in here." I said, "Well, first of all, there's no signs posted, and nobody even told me I wasn't allowed to record video. I've been recording video the entire 5 to 6 days that I've been here, and now all of a sudden it's a problem." But that was 2 hours ago when they actually told me it was a problem, and I haven't recorded any video since. But they wanted to, they said, "But you need to give me your phone so we can delete those videos." And I'm wondering, why would you like to delete the videos, huh? You realize you guys are fucking up here? In any case, I said no, and they kicked me out. They literally kicked me out while my daughter was fighting for her life. Um, I drove home 2 hours away in a panic, heart beating fast, having panic attacks, anxiety, crying, screaming, nervous, shaking, heart beating out of my chest. I was so scared for my child. I was so angry. I was so appalled that a hospital would do this simply because I was questioning the medication that is obviously causing my child a very severe reaction. Now, as her POA, I had every right to do so, and they completely denied my POA rights. They kicked me out, and by the time I got home 2 hours later, I get in the shower, and when I get out the shower, I'm getting a call from the charge nurse or whatever. "We made a mistake. We shouldn't kick you out. We want you to come back," and blah 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 blah. And I said, "I've already drove 2 hours away with my heart beating out my chest. I need to go to the doctor because I feel like I'm about to have a literal heart attack." I couldn't breathe. Like, I was breathing really fast. Like, it was bad. I was traumatized, not only because of what happened to her, but what they did to me, and then also what's going to happen to my child when there's no one there to be with her. It was crazy, y'all. Absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like this. So, hey, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, stay away from Mount Carmel East. Stay away. Do not go there. If you like, moving forward, I was eventually able to get my child to be transferred to a specialty hospital closer to where I live. She spent a month at Mount Carmel East. She spent a month at the specialty hospital, and then she spent about a month in a rehab hospital. But she was having so many complications that it just made her stay longer and longer and longer. So she all together was in the hospital for 5 months. She went to a nursing home in July. Well, she's about 4.5 months, but she went to a nursing home in July because I had to work. Like, I wanted my child to come home, but I fought 20 years. I fought for 20 years to obtain the job as a 911 operator. I finally get the job. I'm in training. Like, you know how it is when you're in training, like, you miss work, all that, you could lose your job. But not only that, learning how to be a 911 operator is not easy. You're not just on the phone taking calls. You have to learn how to dispatch, multitask. You have to listen to context clues. You got to hear there's so many working parts and moving parts as a 911 operator. You need to be able to focus. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Like, my life was literally falling apart, not just because of what happened to my child, but everything that happened after that. I started having marital problems. Mind you, I also I got my baby Cairo. all my life, because I did grow up in a police family. My dad was a retired police captain. My stepfather retired as a homicide detective. I grew up with German Shepherd dogs. I love German Shepherds. I always said if I'm gonna when I get older, I'm going to get me a German Shepherd dog. In February of 2025, my husband and I spent $2,500 to get this German Shepherd dog that I've always wanted. But because the next month my daughter got injured and I was spending so much time at the hospital, like I was literally at the hospital. I stayed there. I slept there until they kicked me out. And then we moved her up here, and I was there every day. I would wake up, go to the hospital, come home, get ready for work, go to work, and I worked from 5 p.m. to 3 in the morning. So, like my every day was just going to work, going to the hospital. In any case, I wasn't able to care for my dog, and it was the hardest thing that I ever had to do. Not really, but it was a really hard thing because I love my dog. But I had to get rid of him because my husband works all the time, my kids were in school, and I was always at the hospital. I couldn't train him, I couldn't take care of him, so I had to give him away, which broke my heart. But also, I developed some kind of infection on my scalp where I had a big patch of hair that fell out here. I had a patch of hair that fell out here. My scalp had scabs all over. It was pus. I don't know if it came from the stress, but it was like my life was falling apart. It was literally falling apart. I had to cut all of my hair off. And it's the bald patches have grown back in. If y'all can see, there's no bald patches now. I love my curl. I love my hair though. I don't like the short look on me because look, I got a flat head in the back. I got that from my dad. Thank you, Dad. But I don't like this flat head back here. So I wasn't really like feeling the short hairdo. But what can I say? I'd rather have a short hairdo than a big bald patch missing out of my head. So I started having all these health problems and ear infections, scalp infections. Like my body was literally screaming at me to change something. So that's what I'm doing. That's the purpose of this video. I know this is a very long-winded way of me wording this, but I needed to give you guys some context on what I've been going through. Like this year has been hell. My entire life actually has been just crazy. You know, my dad, I'm basically an illegitimate child. My dad was married, right, when I was conceived. You know, my mom, you know, she made horrible choices in men. I think I got that from her. But she made horrible choices in men. And I was abused by two of them sexually at a very young age. And when I got to the age of 13 to 15, I was abused again by her second husband. And so I just started running away from home. Not her second husband, her third husband. I just started running away from home. I was in and out of juvenile detention. You know, I had a lot of trauma. Maybe if you guys care, I'll go into more detail about certain things later. But I had a lot of trauma. I didn't value myself. Nobody was there to protect me. I didn't think I was worth anything because nobody else did. And so the whole purpose of me making this channel is to just kind of reclaim and reclaim my life. Like I got to do something different. I am about to be 45 years old and I do not like the place that I'm in. Okay. So I wanted to make this channel not only to document my journey, but hey, maybe you guys can help me figure this thing out. Like maybe you guys can help me see something that I haven't seen. Like maybe you guys will give me advice that I haven't gotten. Like, because I tried to, I've tried to just keep pushing, but I just keep coming into this cycle of just, you know, having to always struggle just to be happy. You know, I'll think I'll be happy, and then, you know, something comes and just completely derails everything. Like I had to quit my job. I finally got a job that I loved. Finally got a job that I loved. But because I love my child more, I resigned from my job as a 911 operator because she needed me there. She needed me to help her. I had her in a nursing home for about a month, and they just weren't taking care of her. Shout out to Hudson Springs. they just weren't taking care of her. They never cleaned her room. You know, she couldn't really clean herself too good, and they weren't giving her showers regularly. Like it was sad. The whole facility smelled like rancid urine. So I just made the decision to resign from my position as a 911 operator and focus on taking care of my daughter. So I'm literally sitting in the room that I nursed her to health in. Um, you know, it was hard. It was really hard. But as of November 15th of this year, my baby is living on her own again, and I'm ready to start to rebuild my life after losing everything, including my hair. Lost my dog, lost my hair, lost my job, this close to losing my husband. Like, we're really trying to fix things right now, but I'm at the point where now I'm like, listen, I love you, husband, so much, but it's time for me. It's time. I had my first child at 17 years old. My youngest child is 17 now. I have 5 kids. They're all 10 years apart. So, um, it's time for me. It is, and if I can't have somebody in my life who's going to support me in that journey, who's going to cheer me on, then I'd rather do it by myself. I love my husband, I do, but I'm tired. I'm tired of sacrificing myself for everybody, and nobody does that for me. So, long story short, I'm making this channel because I want to document that journey. Hopefully you guys will come along with me and see the glow up, because I plan on glowing up. Like, looking at this video right now, I'm like, damn, my teeth is yellow as fuck. I smoke cigarettes. I drink coffee. I'm stressed the fuck out. So don't judge me, okay? Like, if y'all knew what I have gone through in my life, y'all be like, you know what? Why? How is she even still alive at this point? Because people have killed themselves for less. Let me change that. People have offed themselves for less than what I've gone through. So just bear with me. Hopefully y'all see the glow up. Hopefully I get the whites going. Hopefully my hair grow back flourishing. I'm going to be posting videos about, me doing the keto diet, because I did recently lose 30 pounds doing the keto diet. So I'm going to be showing you my meal prep. So I'm going to be showing you my workouts. You can watch my hair grow back. Like, just, I don't know. Look, if you're over 40, you've had a hard life, you've been going through some hard times, this is the channel for you, because we're going to do this thing together, right? We're going to do this thing together. And I hope you guys follow along. If you want to follow the glow up, like, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.